The biggest challenge that I've faced so far in teaching has most definitely been teaching during a pandemic. Not knowing if I was going to be in school tomorrow or out of school, not knowing if I was going to be sick or not, or if I was going to get the students that I teach or the people that I love sick. Some of the normal challenges that I have to face that were exacerbated by COVID-19 were communicating with parents, staff members, and community members. Trying to communicate the importance of music is something that I have to do every year, all the time. But during the pandemic, it added an extra level of difficulty to that. So figuring out how to get the music out to the public and how to get the performances for the students was those are the problems that I had to solve this year. So I solved some of these challenges in very creative ways. One of the ways was by doing a virtual concert. And this year we had students that were all virtual, students that were on an A schedule, and then students that were on a B schedule. So there was 3 separate groups of students. So we had to record each one of them separately and then record every one of the virtual students and mix them together in a track.
In the classroom, Mr. Smith is a professional. He proves this by balancing his career as a teacher with his working life as a professional trumpet player. This is an inspiration to all the students who maybe someday want to do the same thing with their life.
Always does his best to make sure the student is happy and to make sure that we get the best out of everything.
My teaching methodologies are simple. When you're in my class, you're a participant, and you have a say. So I run a very democratic classroom where kids get a say in what we learn. I also would categorize my teaching methodology as cross-curricular. I like to teach a little bit of math, I like to teach a little bit of science, some foreign language, some history, anything that I can do to kind of connect the dots for the students, that's what I'm there to do. They come in with a wealth of experience and just life experience and knowledge from outside sources. So I want to figure out what that is and how we can use it to better all of our experience.
In fact, he is the only one of my former teachers that I still correspond with. And I feel like that's because I see him as more than that. He is the personification of humbleness and tenacity, living proof that hard work pays off.
I was sort of iffy about if Smith was going to stay in touch with me or if we wasn't going to have a relationship like we did in high school, but it stayed the same as it was in high school. But I just feel like that we're closer now because we see a different side of Smith than we would see at school.
I like to make a positive impact with my students by leading by example. When I got into teaching, I made sure that I was going to practice what I preach. And what I mean by that is that I still practice my instrument every day. I still play music and I'm still very involved with music throughout the community. So when I teach from that perspective. Like, this is something that you can take with you forever. And I want all of my students to do that. I also have used music to help students pay for college. I've got multiple students right now in school for music education and music performance. I even have former students in school for computer science but are collecting scholarship money for music. You don't have to be a music major to be in the marching band or to play in the pet band at the basketball games. These are the opportunities that I try to hunt down for my students so that they can keep participating in music.
There's a lot to talk about with Derek Smith.
I make a measurable impact in the lives of my students through the relationships that I build with them. I believe in long-lasting relationships. I've asked a couple of my former students to share testimonies.
Mr. Smith is the best teacher a student could ever ask for. He's been there for me and many others more times than I can count. He gave me the mentality to just keep pushing and keep persevering, and he's pushed me in more ways than just music. First time I made all district this year, and I made the basketball team this year because of that keep pushing and keep persevering mentality that Smith gave me. He's honestly been more than just a teacher to me. He's been a mentor. He's been like a second father to me.
Although our relationship would initially begin in the theater, it would be him who would take me and encourage me to venture outside of the thespian realm. And by encourage, I mean ask me to take his chorus class every day for 2 years until I finally did. Whenever I got to college at UNC Wilmington, I felt as though I was lacking a creative outlet. But thanks to the training and confidence instilled in me by the hands of my former teacher, I was able to go back on stage again, this time with the guitar and microphone in my hands.
Done phenomenal things for our band program, the county, just every surrounding area. Wherever he goes, he does his absolute best to make the program the best it possibly can be.
Bringing the students out for community performances is one of the most important things that we can do to make a difference in the community. Another way that I get involved with the community is through my continued efforts with different arts camps. Just a couple of weeks ago, I finished a middle school arts camp. Later in the year, I'll be teaching an elementary school camp for K through 5. And that really is more of an introductory to the arts. That's a music camp, but it's also a theater camp, a visual art camp, and dance. But that's a way that we reach out to the local children from all around the county and just introduce them to arts for the first time. I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in music education at Anderson University. I'm about halfway through and I'll be graduating in May. Next year I will be piloting a research study comparing the benefits of virtual to in-person learning. And actually I'm going to be gathering some data on which one is a little bit more effective. And I think that's super important right now coming out of COVID, because we've learned and we've developed strategies to cope with our inability to teach in person. So now I want to actually compare some of those strategies to some of the ways that we've taught in the past. Advocating for music is a job that never ends. But this past year, it's been even more important with so many things on the minds of administrators and county office leaders. Music oftentimes went, I think, underappreciated. So this year, I've made an effort to advocate with the administration a little bit more, and really just take a bigger part in the school, letting them know that we are important and how important we are, what we bring to the table as musicians. And in these times where I think we've all been so separate from each other, that as we're starting to connect with each other again, I think being able to feel the empathy back and forth between one another through music is going to be something that's going to really help us heal